Let's make this a little bit smaller. Cool. So I see we have 40 people in here, which is nice. Welcome everybody who is joining. We are doing a 1 hour live Q&A, chart review, and if you have any requests regarding charts or just general trading questions, whatever it might be, put it in the questions box. So yeah, Aussie, New Zealand. Okay, let's take a look. Sure. So this is the analysis that I shared with my pro students a few weeks back. I was looking at this head and shoulder as a continuation pattern, but yeah, the level got completely destroyed, so I didn't take a trade afterwards. You can see that. I expected, because this is a huge demand gap, that this was going to be an easier ride, as it turned out to be, and the market seems to struggle quite a lot here down there. So you can see the market is retesting the previous support as resistance, but there's a lot of whipsaw. I don't see anything right now. The only thing that I could come up with is a breakout, which happened here, but now you get squeezed. And the problem here I see is that in this area, there's so much demand here that you never know when you're going to hit that demand pocket. Where is all the buying interest sitting? It could be at, it could be right now, obviously. It could be a little bit later. It could be at the bottom. It could be that we are doing a complete demand liquidity hunt below the previous low. Who knows? And that is something that I see a little bit as a problem. I was quite optimistic when we left off here. That's where I thought, okay, this looks like a nice, whoopsie. This looks like a nice continuation, head and shoulders. But then afterwards, you can see it completely got destroyed, as we saw together. And now this level, or the setup, is completely gone for me. I'm not even bothering looking at this anymore, because there are no nice technicals. There's really nothing here to be gained from this one. And there are much, much better pairs right now. So I would stay away from this one. Kim, DEX, and Arcadius, does that help? Okay, I think the futures is the late, so let's take a look at CFD. Awesome, and that's a very, very important point, actually, Arcadius and everyone. I talked about this a little bit on an Instagram TV, which I did, I don't know when, a few days ago, where I think so. Where I said, how many Forex pairs should you trade? And my answer is, if you are on the higher time frames, you should really trade as many, or at least follow as many Forex pairs as you can. Let me move that. So here, for example, this is all the Forex pairs that I follow on a regular basis. So it's pretty much all the Forex pairs, plus here commodities and futures at the bottom. And what you want to do, if you call yourself a technical trader, you only want to take the best trades possible, where you have the best technicals. As a stock trader, this is much, much easier, because you have thousands and thousands of stocks where you can choose from. You only trade the best ones. You can pretty much ignore 99% of all the stocks out there and only really trade the perfect A textbook signals. In Forex, many traders even believe they can only trade the majors, which is completely, absolutely mind-blowing to me, especially if you're on the higher time frames. For example, on the 4-hour chart, you only get 6 candles in a day, which gives you only 30 candles in a week. So yeah, you cannot be very, very selective and picky if you only trade a few Forex pairs. So if you are anywhere below, above the 2-hour, you really need to follow as many Forex pairs as you can, and then only choose the best ones. Okay, that's it for my little rant. Kim, the DAX on the daily. I'm not sure what the island gap, I guess this is the gap where you just gap higher, and then this might probably be an island. Yeah, I am looking at this because this is a common situation right now on a lot of indices. We are trading at something like a previous support area, which has turned into resistance once. The S&P as well, I think, yeah, there was a S&P request, which we will just do after this one. Yeah, so obviously right now this is, I would call this a neutral pattern because it could be a breakaway gap, obviously, and we trade higher. Not sure if you want to trade right into this area here. You probably need to wait either for the immediate or for the complete breakout, or you get the retest. One day. And then, yeah, another option would be that you have here some type of a little bit of a support and resistance, not super meaningful. That, yeah, I think this is then called in general price action an exhaustion gap, where you gap higher and then you gap lower, or at least turn around. So yeah, there are many options right now. This is a neutral pattern, definitely, because you can see that what happened after the gap, the market is just green, red, green, red. So really undecisive, no clear direction. So I would really, if you don't have a position right now, I would really, yeah, I would be not looking to take a new position right now, because there's just no pattern and no trigger. And each trade that I take, I always have yeah, it's a breakout trigger. So whatever pattern you might trade, usually it always starts with a breakout. Every new trend also starts with a breakout. So essentially, most traders, even if they don't know it, they are actually breakout traders, because every new move starts with a breakout. Morteza, yeah, that's the questions box where you just typed in, you don't find the questions box. All right, so I hope that helped, Kim. And while we're at it, let's take a look at the S&P. And here, yeah, that's the thing that I waited for. So here we also have a very similar reaction. And yeah, here on the 12-hour, I think we can see the level a little bit clearer, although we can see it. So here, yeah, it's not a super strong level. We just had 1-2 touches, but that's always what I try to. If you try to trade a breakout, you need to define a level. I think entering short just because you broke above a high is a little bit risky. Although we did just barely took out those highs, I would have liked to see a deeper squeeze. Then I would have felt very comfortable getting in short after the demand, the supply squeeze. Yeah, but right now I would wait until we see a break below that. I would actually put my price alert here. That looks quite interesting. A little bit too early though, a little bit too early. But it's a very interesting one. Yeah, not yet, not yet. Those are the hardest trades where it's almost there. You have an idea, you might feel something, but yeah, trading is not about feeling. US dollar catch, yes. Yeah, so obviously you don't need me to tell you that. Yeah, so obviously we broken out. Well, right now, if you are not long, you have clearly missed the boat. The next target area is very clearly here. If the bullishness can hold that long, here we have a very strong supply area in here. So obviously there are 3 options. We continue higher, we have a bounce, maybe there are even 4, or we just drift sideways, or we just fall below that. However, you always have to understand that, okay, those are 3 options that could happen. And what are you going to do about this? If you are not long, then this option doesn't really matter to you. So you're not doing anything because you're not chasing the price. If you are looking for a short, maybe that might be an option, but we're not there yet. If you are not long and the market drifts sideways, you're not going to do anything. If you are not long and the market pulls back, that's the only thing that is really interesting, that could be interesting if you trade a retest. So you can see that is usually how I would approach a chart. yeah, what are possible scenarios? What is your current position? What are you going to do when certain things happen? And that is then how you can prepare yourself for everything that might occur. And then you're ready. There's no guesswork. You know exactly what you're going to do. Either if the market dies off, if it reaches supply, or it makes the retest, or we completely fail below that, and then what are you going to do? But if you don't have a position right now, there is no trigger right now. If you enter now long, this is clearly chasing, and you're way too late. What did I mean by squeeze? So a squeeze, or some people think it is a stop hunt. And let me tell you, brokers, generally speaking, don't hunt your stops if you're not trading with the absolute worst bucket shops. But then, yeah, that's on you. And we barely squeezed. So this is, you can see we barely took it out the highs, and that's the CFD. So who knows what this might be. But this is not the best squeeze. I traded the Euro Swedish krona, which was a perfect. You can see that this is a nice liquidity hunt. What is a liquidity hunt? It's when the big players, the institutions, manipulate the market, which is not a bad thing. It's just the way the market moves into a previous high. Ideally, you want to see a squeeze or a break above that, which did not happen. We came like 1 or 2 pips short, but nevertheless, you can clearly see how this was a spike. I entered short here on the squeeze when the stops got triggered here, and then yeah, right now looks good. Nice little short here, just a regular squeeze move. Yeah, you can learn about this. There's actually, which I had just have released, I think it was beginning of this week. So there's a new course, it's supply and demand trading strategies. And here you learn about, not about this, you learn about supply and demand, you learn about multi-time frames, you learn about what is liquidity hunting, what is stop fishing, stop loss hunting, what are supply and demand pockets, what are supply and demand spikes, risk planning and risk management, obviously. And it is here, if you go to Tradeciety and then here on trading courses, it is supply and demand strategies. Make sure that you check it out. Here's also the outline again. And then, yeah, you can approach, and that's a very interesting addition to any trading style that you use. I hope that answers the question regarding a squeeze. And by the way, speaking of squeezes, Jesse, yeah, you can apply those strategies to all markets. Let me just go. Those classical chart principles and patterns, they're actually coming from stocks originally. So if you watch any of the, or read any of the classic books about chart patterns and technical analysis, usually most talk about stocks as well. So, but you can apply this. This is a general way of how you look at and analyze price data and waves and how the market moves. And that's also what you see in my book. That is completely universally, and it's just, I like to call it common sense chart reading. Yeah, common sense is not as common anymore, as we all know. So here, yeah, GBP Aussie, Gitte. Let's take a look here. You didn't mention a time frame, but let's start. Yeah, that's always a good idea. And by the way, because I see the question, this is the last live webinar that I am doing for the public. We might, or I might do live webinars for our students, maybe every 1 or 2 or 3 months. I don't have any plans yet, but the live webinars will be over after this one, and I will focus more on our students in the membership forum. And yeah, there are many interesting things coming, but we can talk about this at the end. So yes, British pound Aussie, what do we have? We are currently right here at the previous highs. those are always very, very interesting levels, because obviously here are going to be a lot of limit orders. This could be breakouts, pending buy orders. It could be stop loss orders, obviously, from people who already shorted the market here. Where will they have their stops? Of course, a little bit here, a little bit above that. So the big players, when the institutions and the banks and the hedge funds, when they want to get into a market, they cannot just open their MetaTrader and enter their position. They need to slowly build their position, and you can often see those drives above and beyond such an important high, and that's where you see those liquidity hunts, just as we have seen it in the Euro-Swedish krona. However, if the market managed to break above this area here, which is a very, very important area the way it seems, so here is a lot of confluence, then here we're entering another liquidity drop, liquidity void, whatever you might to call that. And at the origin of those areas, there's always a lot of supply. So here you can, if the market really breaks above that, and if we find good momentum, although this might seem a little bit far away, based on the chart context, this might actually be something to look into, because obviously here's going to be a lot of supply, and the market often gravitates towards those areas, as we have seen time and time again. So British pound Aussie, very, very interesting, but I don't think right now there's nothing to do here. I would really wait for a confirmed breakout above the previous highs, and you don't only want to see like a little breakout. You want to really see a confirmed breakout, and you still then run the risk of running into a squeeze. So it's tough call. That's why I don't trade long breakouts in such a case. What I would like to do is go to a lower time frame and then look for a potential possible reversal, although the market does look quite bullish right now, so I'm probably not going to do anything right here. I hope that helps, Gitte. And if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm really, really sorry. US dollar yen. Yeah, I think, yeah. That's an interesting one. So what do we have here? We just reached this area here. That's good to hear. Although my name seems quite straightforward, I know how frustrating it is. But yeah, Moritz is the king of that. So yeah, what do we have here? A neutral zone, and this is very, very important. The market obviously goes up and down and sideways, but this is what I would call right now a neutral zone. Like here, nothing to do. Like here, nothing to do. Like here, nothing to do. And then you look for breakout points. What are breakout points? Where the market makes a new high or a new low, such as here, such as here, such as here. And of course, sometimes you will get a fake breakout or failed breakout, but that's the nature of the game. There's just nothing that you can do about this. If you are looking for a 100% win rate system, yeah, that's not going to happen. But what can you do right now? Well, obviously, the most important thing you can do is just do nothing as long as there's something to do, as somebody said in the Market Wizards that I just listened yesterday. But he's so right. So right now, there's really nothing that you should do. Well, think about this. What is your plan for the upside? You get in on a breakout, and you're immediately running into this really, really big supply here. Yeah. So an upside scenario is definitely off the table for me. And I think most will agree here. To the downside, it does look much, much more interesting, although we do have some issues here to the downside, which is this area of highs. We have demand sitting right here. We have a little demand pocket below here, but that's not as important. So yeah, even to the downside, this might be quite tough to trade, although not the worst actually. You might be able to trade this on the 2 hour. And here, yes, this doesn't look too bad actually on a 2 hour for a breakout to the downside. So I don't think this is going to be the best possible US dollar pair that you can pick, but it's definitely not the worst, and it is interesting. But the most important thing is to really understand that as long as there's nothing, as long as the market is here in this range, there's really nothing that you should be doing right now. And that's very, very important. Not only knowing when you should trade and when your market generates a signal, but also knowing when it's not generating a signal. Tashi, which combination of indicators is the best for intraday trading, short-term and long-term? Well, I don't want to plug it too much because this should not be an advertisement here, but we have an indicator strategy framework course. You have 14 strategies with the different combinations, and you always see the main indicator. So we have an ADX based strategies, MACD, we have Donchian channels, Bollinger Bands, RSI, we have Ishimoku and pullbacks, trends, reversals. So it is here in trading courses and then in 14 indicator systems. And there you learn the exact combination, which indicator works with which indicator. You see the exact settings for each indicator system, and whether it's a reversal or a trend following, a pullback system, and then you can use that. Okay, Andrea, cool. I'm glad that helped for the US dollar yen. Stan, let's take a look. Euro GBP. Okay. So if you don't post a time frame, I'll just yeah. Okay. So we hit this area here, which is giving us a lot of context. It's not the origin, the supply origin, which is a little bit lower. Here's the origin actually, or even, but this one has been retested already. So this is a super interesting supply demand pullback area. So this one has been used to some degree. Super strong here, obviously, with this gap and the spike. And look at this. So here's really everything that is coming together. What you need from a demand spike. We have taken out the liquidity, big liquidity hunt. We have the demand pullback with the gap and then the breakaway. So it doesn't get any better than this. From a demand perspective, we came a little bit short. So maybe we will get another chance that market will fall below this. Yeah, and again, we are in a neutral phase right now. We are stuck between the last swing low, where we can see a lot of rejections, and we are stuck between this area here. So at least on the higher time frames, there's really absolutely nothing. Obviously, you can see that, hopefully. On the lower time frames, yeah, there's really also nothing. What are you going to do with this? If you are stuck with such a market, you should really close this immediately and walk away. There's really absolutely nothing to be done here. You need to wait for a pattern. There's no pattern whatsoever. We haven't dipped into the demand. We haven't dipped into the origin or in the previous liquidity hunt zone, which is below 83. It's a round number even, so I don't think there's anything more that you could ask for. So there's a lot of demand stacking up below that. We'll see. Obviously, we will see. But right now, there's nothing to do here, actually. What are you going to do with this? And I don't think that anybody can come up with a reasonable trading plan. And that is very, very important here to see. If you cannot come up with a good trading plan, what to do, when to do, and why to do it, then there's really nothing here. And imagine and keep in mind, if you call yourself a technical trader, then this is the market that you should really, really avoid, because this is not a technical market. It is a very, very nasty up and down whipsaw market, false breakout, volatility, back and forth, no direction, stuck between two levels. And in such a case, I would just close this chart, move on to the next one. I hope this helps. It's really, really important that you learn how to select the right markets. And in our premium course, I focus a lot of time on this one. I have some videos that are over 1 hour where I completely share my whole thought process and my whole approach, even in the supply and demand strategy course. At the end, you can see it, I think. At the end, I have videos about trade planning, a weekly review, and yeah, many things that are coming together here. So market selection is really, really important. You cannot overlook this one. And that's why I spend so much time on market selection in each of my courses, because I know how important it is, and I see it every day, that people are just stuck with bad charts and they don't know how to really find the right markets. That's a really, yeah. Let's come to this question. I have a position in silver since the end of February, and for the last 2 days it has been consolidating. I wonder how long it is wise to stay in the trade. I think it looks bearish though and will hold. All right. I like that. I like that. All right, so that's the weekly. That was a little bit too optimistic. Four hour. All right. So you're really writing this out. Nice. And by the way, look how this started. Look at this. Yeah. Big supply area in here. Obviously, the market hit it. I guess the entry must have been in here. No. I think you were earlier, right? I have such a bad memory. Regardless. So yeah, this is really where you would expect at least some type of reaction. It's not the ultimate demand area, so it's not the most important level that we can hit. Let's take a look. Where is the origin? And you are facing another area just here. Still, the origin of this one is a little bit. Yeah, you can see that. It's just, let me just try to. I just want to check something. All right, that looks quite good. Yeah, and you can see there's below this level, there's another. Yeah. So here is the ultimate demand, but this is quite a bit away. There are one here and there, there's not a real demand area in here. So yeah, there's always the question, if you're short. So I agree with you, it still does look not much more, it does look more bearish than bullish, obviously. We keep trading here in this area, and we keep moving back and forth below these areas. Yeah, the question that you really have to ask yourself, how much do you have more to gain? How much do you have to lose? And I think if you are reasonable, you have probably moved your stop loss somewhere around here. Probably not at the very edge of this range, but somewhere around here, that's where your stop loss probably is, right? Yeah, okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. So you probably, so let's assume somewhere like here. And what is your target? Maybe here. I think this will be a little bit optimistic to target this one. 14.8. Yeah, so you're even going a little bit lower than this. So here, yeah, that's, yeah, okay, we have a little bit of a demand zone in here. You probably will see some type of reaction here, but it doesn't have to be different. Yeah, so you can see there's probably more to gain than to lose on this one. Did you consider scaling out partially, maybe? Take some off the table? Because, well, you probably know, because you are one of our longtime pro students, that it's not only black and white in trading. And I say this for everybody in here. There are many areas of gray, and oh yeah, you've already taken some profits. So there's really, you've pretty much done everything completely right that you could do. You moved your stop, you took some off the table, you stayed in the position, you have a reasonable target. So yeah, I completely agree with how you approached this trade, how you managed it. There's more to gain than to lose here on this one, and it does look overall quite good. So yeah, this is, yeah, just perfectly executed. There's nothing more that I can say about this, and it's very nice to see one of our pro students have such a good way of analyzing the markets. But I agree with you. I'm on your side. If you've taken some off the table, you've managed to stop, then I would also agree staying in the trade is not the worst thing you can do here. Very good. And I think you picked a very good metal. This one here is still stubborn. Well, I cannot even spell it. So here we are still, but this is at a major all-time high. I've been looking at this for a while, but we are still not breaking 1500. Yeah. So in gold, there was actually, yeah, there is a question about gold. So I hope, first of all, this answered your question about silver. Although other than reinsurance, I cannot really, you have pretty much nailed it. That's good to see, Velko. Yeah, and that's a beautiful trade. Wilco is also one of our premium members, and he said he used this for his exam. What is the exam on Tradeciety? If you make or join the premium course, then at the end you get an exam, and if you pass it, you get the certificate. And the question was, yeah, what's the opinion on gold? And I think it's pretty much similar to silver right now. We are expecting, well, obviously this one here, this is the most important demand that we can find right now. It is the trigger point of this move. So clearly you want to see some type of reaction here. That's just how supply and demand works. We are still stuck here between those two areas. And again, as long as the market is stuck here and you don't have a position, you should not take a new position. This is gambling right now. If you are not long or short, then this is completely gambling. The only thing that here really makes sense, wait for a breakout, and as long as the market is in here, you don't do anything. That's the only thing that is, yeah. I think, Wilco, you qualify as, yeah. Yeah, so right now there's nothing new on gold. It's just, and that's so important, we can see that across so many markets. And if you are honestly looking back at your trading, you can probably always find those trades where hindsight, you know you shouldn't have done something and you still jumped in the market, and then rightfully so you got punished. Who doesn't know that? Jesse, I was watching your Fibonacci retracement. Yeah, we can quickly do that. So Fibonacci's, you need to set it up in TradingView. I have it already in my quick access bar, but it's Fibonacci retracement here. If you click on it, the first time, whoops, it looks like this. Let me make it. Well, it probably doesn't look like this the first time, but you need to click on the settings. Settings, and then which are the levels. So this is what you need to check, obviously. You don't necessarily need to reverse it, but I do. And then you can see I just tick the boxes for 1618, 2618. I have 176, 138, 2, and those are the retracement levels that I follow. And again, there are people on, well, everywhere, but especially you see it on the YouTube videos where I talk about the Fibonacci retracement, and they say I use it the wrong way. There's no wrong and right in Fibonacci. Obviously, it's percentage based. You can flip it around as much as you want, as often as you want. 61.8 is 38.2, obviously. 76.4 is obviously 23.6 in the reverse. So it is percentage based. That's what Fibonacci's are. And don't listen to anybody telling you this is wrong, you're doing it the wrong way. No, it's the right way. It is percentage based. You can flip it on your head as much as you want, and it will always be the same. So yeah, that's really interesting about the YouTube comments where all the smart people are able to provide input. Jesse, yeah, I can show it again. You can screenshot it. So I tick the box for extend the lines, so they extend. Reverse, which I find is helpful. I show the levels, the prices, I don't need necessarily, and I like to show percentage, although it doesn't matter. And then I took the boxes from here. Cool. You can screenshot it if you need it for later. Hey, Lee. Oh, cool. Another pro student and an hedge fund user. And you want to buy my book. Yeah, the book will probably sound quite repetitive if you are already a pro student, but I think it never really hurts. Moritz was the first who read the book. And yeah, he has been trading for a while, and he still really liked it. Although, yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have told me if we didn't. We are always quite straightforward, but yeah, it really never hurts. And repeating the basics is where expertise and mastery comes from. And by the way, I want to really say thank you for everyone who has purchased the book and left a review. It really means a lot to me, and I'm checking my phone in the morning, in the evening, during the day to see if there are new reviews, how the book is doing. Let me tell you, we are not going to be rich off the book, that's certain. Yeah, you're not going to make money off a book, but it is really one of my passion projects. I want to do it. I wanted to do it for so long, and yeah, it's good to see that people appreciate it. It's good to see that it's accepted, and I hope that it will have it will be there for a while, and people enjoy it for a while. Yeah, Wilco, you should read the book first, and then yeah. And I think, I'm not sure, I think that's Dutch what you sent. So I'm not, no worries. Okay, so there are more questions from Shingi. Let's do that. And by the way, if you have, yeah, I don't want to say it again, but every review really helps, and it makes me really happy. My wife is a little bit annoyed every time a new review comes in. I tell her, but yes. So Shingi, US dollar South African. So this one looks quite similar to the euro, or is it? Yeah, kinda. I just saw it in the forum. One of the pro members posted this one. So yeah. So let's start on the daily. Yeah, okay. You want to look at the daily? On the daily, yeah, it's tough one. I don't think I would be comfortable entering short against long against this one. So if we break out above this, I would probably not feel too good buying into this spike, especially since we're entering into another supply spike. Yeah, so on this one, although this looks like some type, at least on a 12-hour, this will be a cup and handle, obviously. Yeah, so here's the little cup, and here's the handle. It's a tough one. Yeah. When in doubt, stay out. I didn't make this up, but it sounds like sounds nice. Yeah. Well, personally, I won't trade this. Entering in those spikes and entering in this supply is not really a nice thing. But yeah, I will definitely put my price alert here and follow this one. I have a huge library on screenshots, and I love chart studies. Although that's quite nerdy to say, but yeah, I just keep chart screenshots of pretty much everything that looks interesting. And this cup and handle with this spike here, that's definitely something I will keep an eye on. Sorry, my input is limited, but there's just not too much to do. Jonathan, would it be good to day trade the channel? I'm not a day trader. Let's take a look. Oh wow, that's nasty. Well, certainly I would have nightmares if I had to trade this. I'm a pattern trader, so I trade pretty much any pattern you can think of, whether it's a cup and handle, a wedge, a triangle, regular double triple tops, head and shoulders, wedges, whatever. But here are really, there are no patterns here. It's just a mess. This looks really, really scary. If I would be trading, no, I wouldn't even think about trading this. And there's nothing technical in this range here. I hope that helps, Jonathan. So I am a hardcore technical trader. So I look for technical charts that I can explain, and where really the market is actually adhering to technical moves and technical principles. And yeah, we cannot see that obviously on the 15-minute. Does your premium course cover supply and demand? No, those are all totally different. We decided, Moritz and I, we are not going to charge any monthly subscriptions. Whatever you buy, you have lifetime access. So that's why we have new add-ons every now and then, new courses. But once you're in a course, yeah, you have lifetime access. I think that's much, much nicer. Wilco, you have passed. What is the next thing to do? If you are, yeah, you should, after the premium course, you should be quite comfortable with the with chart reading. I would personally recommend really, yeah, the mental course, because this is really forcing you to step back a little bit, think about yourself, your role as a trader, really define rules and processes. And here's the outline. You can see that it's really, really, really comprehensive. But the good thing is you only get one lesson every week. For 5 months, every week you get a little bit of a little homework, little assignment that focuses on a different aspect of trading. And that is what I would recommend at this point. Of course, if you want to know more about technicals, I would personally recommend the supply and demand strategy course as an add-on to the premium course. But yeah, many traders enjoy the mental thing, because yeah, it's much, you will not find this anywhere else. And yes, this was better. What is your criteria for taking short on platinum, if any? Platinum? Let's take a look at CFDs. Oh yeah, I think I talked about this. Tomorrow we talk about this, I remember. Again, nice here. Yeah, right now I agree, it's too late. I think here was a nice one. Then you had to take the heat here on the retest. But we see those retests so many times these days, the last couple of months. So this should really not scare you as long as you're not completely moving against it. And yeah, I agree. Now it's too late. It's like the other precious metals, gold and silver. It's hovering here at this area. We don't have a super strong demand where we're currently bouncing. And that's one thing that's really putting me off here. You see all the metals have posted retracements, gold, silver, platinum, but palladium hasn't. So what this tells us is that palladium is quite strong here. So that is one thing that really is, yeah. Although this is super interesting, I think this is very scary to trade, because yeah, we can zoom out a while. And we'll never get to the bottom. Yeah, we'll get to the bottom here eventually. Now you can see this is really catching a falling knife, or in this case, a rising knife. Yeah. We hit all the questions. I'm still, yeah, my wife is back and she's taking care of the dog. So I still have a few minutes if you want to, if you still have any other requests. This is the last webinar that we are doing, or that I'm doing here. So I want to say thank you as well. This was really a fun, I think 4, 5, 6 webinars, but I'm focusing more on, there's so many things Moritz and I are doing behind the scenes, many things that are coming. Yeah, that I just like to try new things as well.